Everyone, this is Kieran. Today's exercise is looking at something called the hammer curl. It's a nice exercise to restore wrist ability or even elbow ability. So we'll go over some of the use cases there. So if you're looking for any way to rehab your wrist or your elbow, you might find this exercise useful. So really simply, when you have an elbow injury or wrist injury, you need to consider, and this goes for any injury really, you need to consider the joints involved and the ranges of movement that those joints are capable of. So for example, with the elbow, we've got a couple joints to consider, well, three really, but you've got your ulnar bone in here, which comes back and hooks into your humerus. You've got your radius here, which comes onto your humerus as sort of a spinning attachment, and then you've got those radius and ulnar attachments in here. Now, the hinging movement like this is primarily this one at the back, and then the rotation one is mainly this radius one here with the humerus. Now, those bones come down, and then they've also got some stuff going on with the wrist. And you've got your 8 carpal bones. Won't go over all of them here, but imagine roughly a row of 4 and a row of 4. It's not quite as sort of symmetrical as that. There's sort of overlapping here, and they're different sizes, but those 2 bones come down, and then they articulate or move with those bones as well. So when you've got, like I said, an injury, you need to consider the ranges possible. We talked about some hinging, some spinning around or pronation and supination. And then with the wrist, you've got things like up and down, sideways, spinning around. Sometimes in a wrist injury, you might want to keep the wrist still for a period of time while some tissue is healing. It doesn't mean you still can't work on the muscles keeping it still. So for example, like a bicep curl, or a hammer curl, which we're going to go over today, or a Zottman curl, which I'll post up here. So just to give you guys a sense of what that looks like. So let's adjust the camera a little bit. So with a bicep curl, most people are going to think about it in this context. With a Zottman curl, I'm coming up, but then I'm spinning around, and then I'm lowering down this way. And that can be useful for all sorts of things. I'd encourage like a mix of all 3 of these if you've had an injury in these joints. Hammer curl, you're just going to go halfway. And what's different here is you're going to be biasing, obviously you're still working some similar muscles, but you're really going to be biasing this brachioradialis muscle here. And it still gets kicked in, but not so much in the bicep curl, definitely in the Zottman curl, but more so in that hammer curl. And the reason I like this is because this is a really common carrying position. So people are going to carry and reach into these positions as opposed to this way or this way. So you've got a little bit more robustness here. I've seen before people with wrist injuries having atrophy or loss of muscle bulk in their forearm, and we need to rehab that. And in particular, you'll see this muscle, if they've been not doing a lot of carrying, then you need to consider doing some carrying exercises, but also some hammer curls. So simple exercise. Good way to approach it would be test both sides, get a rep max. I'd start with maybe 15 reps. So find a weight, go up and down, go 15 times. If you can do 15 times, have a rest, increase the weight again, go again until you can't do 15 reps. And then the set beforehand where you could do 15 reps, that becomes your 15 rep max. Figure out if there's a difference side to side. One side can do significantly more than the other, or one side just feels significantly harder, more effortful. So for example, maybe you get 15 on this side and you're like, yep, not too bad. It was tough, but I could do it. This side, you're like making faces, you're holding your breath. It's really hard to get that 15. That'd be a difference in effort. And then spend 6 to 12 weeks rehabbing that, trying to even it out a little bit. You might take your 15 rep max and, cut maybe 20% off that, and then do reps of 10 to 15 and 3 sets. That would be sufficient. A couple times a week, sometimes 3 times a week works a little bit better for muscle growth, depends on the individual, but 2 is definitely sufficient. And yeah, that should cover it all. If you have any questions, please ask below. And like I said, check out the Zottman curl as well if that's an unfamiliar exercise to you. If you like this video, then please hit like below. Otherwise, to check out more of our content in the future, you can subscribe to our channel by clicking our logo over here. And to check out our latest video, click up here.